is in retrograde in Virgo at the moment. The Earth sign Virgo is a mutable sign. My wife is a Virgo. A lot of the people that I care for and love the most are Virgos. I'm just really attracted to them in the sense that they are very practical, very organized, and usually pretty intelligent people who can usually help me gain insight into a lot of things. Because I am a fire sign, Aries, and typically I wouldn't get along that well, according to astrological rules, with Virgo because they are so organized and tidy and, that type of stuff. But since I feel that I was born in the planetary hour of Mercury, and in Mercury retrograde, I have a greater affinity with both the signs Virgo and Gemini because they're both ruled over by the planet Mercury, and each of them have a lot to do with communication, travel, organization, and all those types of things. Why don't we talk a little bit about Virgo? First, we'll talk about the constellation Virgo. Virgo is the second largest constellation. It spans the 150 to 180th degree of the zodiac. Under the tropical zodiac, the sun transits this area on average between August 23rd and September 22nd. And under the sidereal zodiac, the sun transits the constellation Virgo from September 17th to October 17th. So Virgo, from an astrological standpoint, is the sixth sign in the zodiac. Virgo is the second largest constellation, as we have already discussed. Individuals born during these dates, depending on which system of astrology they subscribe to, may be called Virgos or Virgoans. The symbol of the maiden is based on Astrea. In Greek mythology, she was the last immortal to abandon Earth at the end of the Silver Age, when the gods fled to Olympus, hence the sign's association with Earth. The personality traits of Virgo. Astrologers ascribe certain personality traits to a person born under Virgo. People born under this sign are typically analytical, kind, hardworking, and practical. According to astrologers, Virgos tend to worry often, they are shy, and dislike being the center of attention. Hence the problem usually between Virgo and Aries, who love to be the center of attention, are very extroverted. They also are known for being modest, faithful, quiet, and very persuasive, as well as good sense of reasoning and memory. Virgos are also known for their intellect and usually enjoy art, literature, science, and mathematics, and are skilled at completing detailed work. Furthermore, Virgos are supposed to be methodical in their work. With careful attention to detail, they are certain to never leave anything to chance. The life of a Virgo is very organized, and their goals in life are usually clearly defined. And if the person is messy, people born in the sign know how to solve problems well and are great advisors to friends and family. Virgo people are very concerned about health and wellness. Because of this, they tend to remind others to take care of their minds and bodies. So, considering what we learned earlier about the element that Mercury is going retrograde through, we know now, by defining Virgo a little bit, what we need to pay attention to. So obviously we need to pay attention to our organizational skills, detailed work, our health and well-being, both mental, physical, spiritual, what have you. And we also need to be careful of the advice that we give and receive to others. It won't be until Mercury reaches the degree where it originally turned retrograde and then passes it that you will know Mercury truly has its full strength back. That tends to take a couple of weeks, but don't stress, this time frame is nothing at all like the Mercury retrograde cycle. In fact, after the Mercury retrograde ends and Mercury goes direct again, you'll be ready to apply whatever it is you've learned during the retrograde period into your current reality. It only takes a few days for Mercury being back on track for you to notice the difference. From here on out, the planet will get stronger every day. What's interesting is that while Mercury will need time to regulate its orbit, the very day of its stationing direct can be a potential time. It can be a potent time. It's like Mercury will be jolted awake for a short time. Remember, mom screaming at you to wake up or you'll be late for school. During this day or even the next, it's likely you'll experience incredible clarity about whatever issues you've been grappling with during Mercury retrograde. But be patient. It will just take a little more time before you're ready to execute your newfound lucidity with success. So there you go. At that moment, on the day that it happens, you may experience a great catharsis about all the things that you've been confused and confounded about over the past couple weeks. But that is just what it is. It's just that you've come to an understanding, and that you realize either where you've succeeded or where you've made mistakes, and what kind of band-aids you might need to put on things, or what kind of, or what you can expect from other people. But it's still going to take you time to process that information. So it's not really going to be problem solved. It's going to be problem recognized, problem understood. During this time, while Mercury is in retrograde, expect misleading information. As I mentioned earlier, even misleading information to the point of obvious deception, especially with Neptune and Pisces. Expect missed appointments, traffic problems, the failure to keep one's word because of a promise that could not be kept, misplaced documents, more computer-related problems. Any Mercury retrograde cycle is a time to rethink, redo, redefine, reorganize, reassess, reorient, and or replan without taking action on the new plan until after Mercury retrograde ends. It is a time for completions, i.e., cleaning up paperwork, paying old debts, doing what we promised that hasn't been completed, or otherwise handling those matters responsibly. So during this time, we're going to feel a lack of motivation, because everything's going to be a little more difficult, because, our thoughts are a little more jumbled. We're a little confused. We don't know exactly what it is that we're trying to do anymore. You may lose sight of what your original goals are, and you might have to stop, collaborate, and listen. Sorry, but yeah, it's just really important to like I've said throughout this show, be prepared and take your time, and then whenever you can, reorder whatever it is that you're working on, so that you can actually put that into effect, if possible, after the time that Mercury goes direct. So that's pretty much as far as we're going to go on Mercury retrograde. That's pretty much most of the show. I think it's kind of important because of how this has affected me directly, and how it may be affecting you, and hopefully this information has armed you with some tools that you need to stop and figure things out and be a little more organized, and so that you don't get that snake creeping up on you and biting you in the end. Now remember, not everything can be smoothed over. Some things, you may have said some things, you may have done some things may have happened to you, and you can't really use Mercury retrograde as an excuse. Say, for instance, hey, I got fired from my job, or I missed a lot of work. You can't call your power company and say, hey, Mercury retrograde, man, sorry, I'll get good with you next month. So what's important, once again, is to try to be prepared, because this is going to happen. And it does seem to affect a lot of people, even people who have no idea and who think this is total nonsense. And yes, it is easy to feel that it is total nonsense, because there is the possibility that it's just absolute rubbish, that all of these things happen because these things are just happening, and they're just happening to everyone, and they're just happening to some people, or they aren't happening to other people. But the idea of how Mercury retrograde really affects you is based on your natal astrology chart and how it passes through all the houses in your chart. So there you go. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can get your astrology chart, your natal astrology chart made. There's lots of free online places. You can pick up a book. You can do it yourself. You can contact me. You can contact quite a few other astrologers that would love to do it for you. But keep in mind, once again, astrology is just a model like any other. And it's best not to attach dogma to this concept, or really any other, unless the concept that you're expressing at the time requires dogma to be valid. So there we go. Mercury retrograde. We only have a couple weeks left. We'll be going direct, like I said, into Virgo on the autumnal equinox, while we go into the sign Libra, which should create quite a bit of balance and quite a bit of clarity. And at that point in time, we need to take what we've learned and put it into effect. So yes, pretty soon we have quite a few pretty awesome interviews and shows lined up for you all. I have some pretty great interviews lined up with some local paranormal teams here in Indiana, with Jeffrey Pritchett, with a few other people who I'm excited about talking to. Maybe next week's show we'll have Jeffrey Pritchett on, and we'll talk to him about his new book and some of his other books, and we'll also talk a little bit about the Black Eyed Kids and what he thinks about it. Over when I was doing shows at the Church of Mavis, we really never talked about that topic very much. We didn't really have any guest on there that spoke about it, but we did talk about Bigfoot a lot. So we'll either be focusing on the Black Eyed Kids, having an interview with Jeffrey Pritchett, and or talking about Bigfoot, or all of these things all at once, or something else altogether. Who knows? But whatever it is, it's going to be great, and you're going to have a good time, and I'm going to love bringing it to you, and I really hope you guys enjoy listening to it. So if you would, just go ahead, go on to Facebook, find me there, Beezle Alhazred, Beezle Alhazred. Check out our Bizarre Anthology series, Yes, No, Goodbye on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, Yes, No, Goodbye, the Bizarre Anthology. In our origin show on the pilot, I talked a lot about the Bizarre Anthology. It's something that I'm putting together. The first compendium of the main body of work should be due by Halloween for you to sink your teeth in. So here we go. I'm Beezle Alhazred. This is the Electric Eye Radio Show. Hopefully this was helpful to you all, and we'll be seeing you soon. So stay tuned.